Hello everyone, this is Sean, and this is a model build. This is model slideshow for model number 11, K.A.R.R from Knight Rider. Now I built him from the MPC kit, no pun intended, that you can see here, but the reason that I built him as K.A.R.R is because, well, the paint job screwed up a bit, so I decided to try my hand at masking for the first time to see if I could actually get it done properly. And when I put the black back on the car, I made sure it was a dull black. You know, kind of how K.A.R.R looked when he was in the ocean. And I realized that any paint mistakes, any smudges or anything, like you see there, or if you look at the mirror, I would pass it all off as saltwater damage. You can see how I even took the decal that is from Kit, and I turned it yellowish green just like K.A.R.R. And I'll show you the other side. There you go. And I'll show the back. There you go. So if any of the wheels look out of alignment or the hood is not in proper place, I'll pass all that off as plot line damage. So anyway, I'll put this in as the intro to the video, and I will splice in the pictures and then do a wrap up at the end. So, talk to you later. Okay, I'm back, and I will show you the build process of the K.A.R.R kit. So first I tried applying paint to the chrome parts and the model parts themselves, but I realized it wouldn't do very well without primer. So first I started by priming the spare hood so I could get the technique down. Didn't want to damage any part by priming it improperly. Then, of course, once I got the technique down, I primed all the parts in one big box and started applying paint to them again, as you can see here. And then I applied spray paint to the spare hood. Wanted to get the technique right before I went on to the main hood, and you can see how much the spare hood glistens. But that's just the light angle. And after that is when I detail painted the wheels and assembled them. And then I touched up the paint on the engine parts and everything else. And then I went on to detail painting the other parts of the car, the axle, and everything else. And then I went after the main hood. First I painted the bottom, again, wanted to get all my painting mistakes out of the way. Then I started assembling the engine and experimenting with different paint colors, basically orange and black. Then I primed the interior bucket, the chassis of the car, and the actual body itself. You can see a side view here. And then, of course, I spray painted the car with black, but it turned out it only got the top half, which is kind of a clue as to what version I'll build it as. And then you see I continued assembling the engine after I got all the parts painted. And there's the cylinder heads, kept them chrome, of course, you didn't want to damage them. And then you can see the hole at the back of the engine where the shaft fits in. Now, of course, when it came to the interior bucket, I put a mat down using a piece of sticker to simulate carpeting. And of course, you can see the top view here of the primed body of the car. Still has the X's where the hood would go, of course. Didn't want to take them off quite yet. And of course, you can see a close-up of the primed chassis of the car here. And then I moved on to detail painting the actual body of the car with the light sand color. I think it's called Folk Art Camel, actually. because it seemed to be the closest match for what you could see on the series. And of course I put floor mats down as well, in front of the seats, as you can see in this picture quite clearly. And I detail painted the foot pedals. Then I moved on to doing the camel, or light sand color, on these proper parts of the car near the window, based on, again, screenshots from the actual TV series. And you can see how I touched up all the paint. I mean, that entire interior with the camel color was actually painted by hand. So I had to give it a few extra coats, smooth it out to get rid of all the paintbrush marks before I got it nice and smooth. So there you go. And then I started masking off the car itself so I could spray paint, I guess spray paint the interior black as well. You should be able to see that in the next picture. See, you can see all the parts spray painted black here. And then I continued assembling the engine, as you can see here. So it looks pretty good so far. There's some parts that still didn't get all the black. And now you can see the black, and you can see the proper light sand color. And then I test fit the main hood on the car. You can see the primer is different than the tester's gray I used on the hood. And then I tested the spare hood, which was black, also on the car. It seemed to fit better than KITT itself. And of course you can see the chassis here, getting all ready for spray painting black, and all the other parts that are left over, that'll get their color soon. As you can see right here, see, they get the shiny gloss black. Here's where you can see them when they're dry. And then of course there's the main hood. The paint was just applied, that's why it looks so reflective. And you can see it from multiple angles. You can probably actually see me in one of the reflections with the camera. You can certainly see the light on the ceiling of the car. Then I masked off the interior of the car itself before I spray painted it with the gloss black, as you can see here in this picture. So that's the right side. I'm going to see quite a reflection. There's the back. And you can see the left side. Now I spray painted it again because you wanted to get all the sections of the car this time. And there's the hood, so the car all matches now. But there were still a few sections that didn't get painted, so I had to spray paint it again. You see that section of the hood. I tried to mask it off. I mean the back. And the bottom part that didn't get all the paint on it. And of course I just used the newspaper to mask off the hood as well. It's quite a picture, I'm not sure who that is on the paper. And there it is once it was masked and painted again. But you'll see what I saw in the next picture. You can't see it very well from here, but wait till the next picture, you're going to see what I mean. You see how the paint ran at the bottom of the door there. So that was a bit of a error. You can see it on this side as well. So what I did is I just took a bit of a breather and continued working on the engine until I could figure out what I had to do. You can see the engine's coming along quite well. And then I scraped the thing down with simple green. I took it right back down to the primer. That's why it looks very rough. But you could say, oh, well, then there's the right side. But at least it's down to the primer, even if it is rather dull. And of course, after I did that, the next day, I painted it with just the plain matte black this time. Wanted to give it a matte black base coat all the way around on the back. You saw the left side before. Here's the right side again. Made sure to get the matte black all over the car. And then there's the front. So the car was restored back to an appearance I could be happy with, the car body, and I could continue work on the engine itself. And of course, the fan belt assembly. And you can see some of the instructions there. I always color code the instructions. And then I assembled the fan belt assembly to the car itself. I mean the engine. As you can see in this picture here. And of course from multiple angles, so that's looking at the fan blades themselves. Making sure everything was painted properly, and then I test fit, didn't glue it in. I just test fit it to the chassis of the car to make sure it would fit in properly into its proper pegs and holes. So you can see that from multiple angles. And then of course I started assembling some of the other pieces of the car once the engines were out, and test fit the wheels, test fit the body. You can see the hood is much brighter than the rest of the car, and then I took a break for about a year. So this is a picture in the, I guess it's July of 2020, just before I moved out of Quebec. I masked off most of the car again because I decided to turn it into K.A.R.R from Knight Rider. You can see the gray paint here. So of course I had to mask off everything except the section I wanted to paint to make sure that the car, pardon the pun, was painted properly. Now you can see here, there's a few parts where the gray, you know, kind of bled over where it should have not have gotten. You can certainly see that on the left side here. So that's where I had to haul out my Folk Art light steel gray and touch everything up. So there's the right side after it's all touched up. There's the left side after it's all touched up. So any painting mistakes could be attributed to K.A.R.R being stuck in the ocean in the salt water. And I started putting the decals on the actual parts. You know, the front dashboard, the steering wheel itself. And here is the other part, a nice close-up of the front dashboard with all the screen decals. They're quite detailed, actually. There's the interior bucket again with the decals for, I guess, the gear shift. There's the engine actually assembled into the car, right side up, of course. You can see the wheels already in place. There's K.A.R.R's license plate, painted in with yellow paint. There is the dashboard and everything assembled into the interior bucket of the car itself. Well, that's the left view. There's the front view. You can see how nicely the paint and the matte sticker turned out. There's a better close-up view of everything, including the central gear shift. And, of course, the last shot, the right side of the car body itself. Before it was assembled into the actual car. You can see the hood's off. You can see the engine and everything. And there's a front view. So I took a few liberties. I mean, I took a few pieces off the vehicle just to make sure everything would work properly. So these are all pictures without the windshield in place, of course. But the next picture should show their left side, yeah, and then hopefully there's a picture or two of the windows in the actual car. That'll be coming in just a moment. There's the rear side. You can see K.A.R.R on the back license plate. Ah, here we go. There's some of the windows in the car, I think. Well, maybe not that one. But here you go. There you go. Left side, the windows are inserted. The hood is on the car. There's the back. The T-tops are in place as well. And of course, the right side, you can see all the windows. You can see into the cockpit of the car itself. And then there's the front. So now I will show you all the pictures of the car on proper shelves. So first I had it in a display case on top of the two Herbies and the Mark III DeLorean. Then, of course, once I moved to Ontario, I had it with just on a cabinet. And it took a few, there it is again, a few iterations of car shelves along the way. There it is with 8 of the cars I built. There it is in a little drawer with the DeLorean. That was just for storage, for moving. There it is with all the Constructs car shelves and the model Starships. And the next picture will show the final shelf I bought for it at Value Village. So now I'll do the wrap-up. Talk to you later. Okay, I'm back. By now you saw the narrated picture slideshow. And so this is the final wrap-up of the K.A.R.R video. Model K.A.R.R. Haha, pun. Yes. Anyway, the MPC kit turned out quite well. I have another one so that I can build kit properly using the lessons I learned from the first one. In other words, if you're going to spray the car's sides, make sure you spray up at the curved angle. So anyway, that's all for now. I'll just put K.A.R.R back on the shelf. Be right back. All right, there we go. There's the box. There's the car. You can see it here, and careful. I'll be careful to lift off the the hood. And there is K.A.R.R.'s engine, and you can see how the scanner bar goes from yellow to green. And you can see all the sections of the engine here. The white, I guess they're windshield washer fluid and all the chrome and everything, and the two little holes that the engine fits into. And don't look too closely at the bottom of the car, but you can see some of it here. There you go. Some of the details underneath. So anyway, that's the end of this video. And next week's video will be... Alright, so next week's video will be the model number 14, model build number 11, which will be the Mark II DeLorean. You can see the Mark II DeLorean here from all the angles. Complete with the barcode license plate. And of course the flying wheels. And I used ultrafine black Sharpie on Mr. Fusion. And if you take a look at the bottom, you'll see I even color-coded in as best I could the flying circuits and made the wheel wells white to reflect it in flight. So anyway, that's a preview of next week's model build slideshow. Narrated, of course, and we'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.